welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 782 of the Trinity Force Podcast. I am, as always, your host, N.A. Eric, and tonight we're talking all things Worlds. Woo! So to talk about Worlds with me, I have three fantastic fellas. We have, in ascending order on the video, we have John, Fenrir, and Bomo, and everyone's doing great. But Bomo, we haven't talked to you in a while. You've been out sick. How you feeling, man?
I feel fine. Pretty normal, except like this, as I mentioned, lingering cough. But yeah, I got COVID. Don't know where it came from, but we are pretty good. My girlfriend didn't catch it, so it was pretty good. I mean, when we lived together, so that was really good. But yeah, it's just this slight cough that's lingering. But otherwise, I feel fine.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, well, we're glad you're feeling better because I mean, you've been gone from the podcast for a few weeks. You had it, and it was, I mean, it sounded like at some point you were like barely able to talk. It really got to him, and he's drinking water right now to keep his throat, as he said, keep my throat lubricated. That's what he said prior.
Yeah, because it was almost like every other word I was coughing. It was kind of annoying.
Jeez. Okay. Well, we're glad you're feeling better. In all that time off, have you been gaming much? Just been relaxing and chilling, or what you been up to?
A little bit of both. So I'm still playing on my competitive team. And then I got a Steam Deck last week too. So I finally got my Steam Decks. I've been playing all my backlog of Steam games on the couch. Yeah.
So, for those of us who don't know what a Steam Deck is, definitely not me. I 100% know what that is. What is a Steam Deck?
It's Valve's console that they released, but the biggest thing is it being handheld. So you can imagine sort of like a Nintendo Switch, except it's slightly bigger. And it has a Windows desktop capability built into the system, so you're not stuck on like proprietary like software to run games like the Switch and stuff. So you can download emulators and whatnot on it. So it's almost like a handheld computer system that's mainly run on Steam and like Linux. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's awesome. Fenrir, how you doing, man?
I've been doing good. I said last week I've been playing on a Smurf, and it is no longer my Smurf. I have eclipsed my main rank.
Oh no.
I got plat 4 last night.
Nice.
So gold 3 on the main, but on the Smurf we're plat 4, so that makes a lot of sense.
Have you been? Was it the same role you've been playing in both, or?
Yeah, I've just been playing support, but I've been like spamming Seraphine lately.
Gotcha. Like, are you building it AP, or are you building it like full on Moonstone, Redemption, that sort of build? Like, which way you been going?
I'll play the support, but if my AD carry locks in Senna, then I just go like more of the carry route.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what my AD carry is picking.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. What's I haven't played that much Seraphine. What have you been seeing as like her worst and best matchups?
If it's hard if they like have a lot of like early engage plus damage. Like if they have a Draven, I ban Draven every game because he just like steamrolls Seraphine early. I really like to play her into the team comps on the enemy team that have a lot of engage because you can just ult and they just can't fight you anymore.
Yeah. Gotcha. That makes sense. That's like in cases like that, that's when I like to pick when I do play support. That's when I pick Renata. It's a lot easier to execute and it's just, I don't know, she's so much fun to play. Shit. But yeah, okay. Cool. Everything outside of League been going well? I know you're hyped for Worlds.
Yeah, I've watched way too much League the last 5 days. We're talking all the way from LPL to the minorest of minor regions. I've watched all of it, so
Damn. Okay. Well, we're glad to have you on then to talk all about that stuff because you know more about it than I do for sure. Um, okay, John, how you doing, man?
Doing good. I getting all my residency application stuff together, so been busy with that. As far as league, been playing on my Smurf some. Uh, Same as before, like HQ up 80 carrying jungle. Recently, I've just been playing Rengar because I was just like, all right, I just kind of want to win, play my best champion. But because I had a few games where I was getting really frustrated playing AD carry, and I was just like, all right, time to go back home, do what I know.
Yeah.
In those games, though, I was having a ton of success. I've been trying, been experimenting with different runes too on Rengar, as far as like post first strike nerf. Been playing a lot of electrocute Rengar. I really like it a lot. Those games I've been having a lot of success. Um, but yeah, just trying to improve. Also, is one thing I've been working on with him is trying to improve on my first clear on both sides with him. Um, I'm definitely getting to the point where I'm getting better at it, and I can notice like small improvement as far as like, for example, like I played a game most recently against an Elise,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like pathing same way she was because I wanted to counter gank her, and I finished my full clear like super early. She goes there level 3 to gank. I'm just sitting in the try, and I just like pop her. She can't fight. Then we kill their top laner, and then started getting and it was a Darius too, so he started snowballing pretty hard. But yeah, I mean,
How many camps
it's
did
been
each of
good.
you do for you to match her then and be a little bit ahead of her?
No, I did a full clear, and I think she had done 5 camps,
Okay.
and then she went top. Yeah, but yeah, I've been doing that. Yes, actually, last night I played on my main a little bit. Played some ranked with one of my buddies. I played AD carry, and I won one, lost one. But I don't know. I'd like to try to get my main at least back to. Want to try to get back to my promos, and then see if I can finish the season out diamond.
Yeah, that's my goal as well. But I just haven't put in the time to do it. So I've just been hovering in Plat 2, slowly climbing. I play like 3 or 4 games, maybe 5 games a week, and go up by probably go like positive 2 games. If I put in like a solid weekend or 2 of playing, I'm sure I'd be diamond. I'm just can't be bothered. But
Yeah, I also like playing on your main on in ranked. You're gonna want to play when you're playing good,
yeah,
not when you're not tired. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm a couple games away from my promo, so I'll try to get back before the end of the season.
cool. Cool. Yeah, as far as I guess as far as me, everything's been good. I played Clash and played on Sunday. I just auto-filled with 5 people. None of us had ever played together. And I played support because there was a Lilia jungle one trick, so we were like, fine, go ahead, you play jungle. He was one of those people where he's like, give me Lilia, I'll carry, don't worry about it. And I mean, he was fine at Lilia. He was not amazing, but he was fine. This was in like tier 1. He was the only person on our team was in gold. Everyone else was, I think I might have been the highest rank on the team, but it was like plat 3 average or so, and I'm in plat 2 right now, but he was like gold 2 or something. So he must have been winning a lot at Clash to be up there. But yeah, and so I played support, and I played Renata first game. We did MF Renata against Cog Lulu and absolutely destroyed that lane. Lulu didn't understand how to like aggressively or how to trade with her champion against my champion. Like, granted, if Lulu knew what she was doing, she probably would have won the lane, but I didn't. I was just doing Renata things, throwing the loyalty program at them and stuff. But yep. Then second game we played Xerath MF, and there was the bot lane, we thought it was going to be Ezreal Yuumi. It was a Gragas Yuumi with an Ezreal mid. So, so much free first strike gold. I mean, he built tier and then Yuumi sitting on him. We, like, for the first 7 minutes or so, we couldn't get him low enough to really push him out of lane. But after I got like Lost Chapter, then and MF got her Noon Quiver, then it was all bueno at that point. Uh, and yeah, we were able to finally push him out. But even though he was still healthy, he was not getting much CS. We had like a 3-1. We got like 100 CS by the time he had like 40 or so. Like it was not close in terms of gold. I don't know why they did that lane assignment, but yeah. And then third game, I just went. I played super for the team and went Braum. They had Tristana and Nautilus bot lane, and I was like, fine, I'll play Braum because they also had a Vi, I think, and they had they also had Talia as well. So they had like a whole bunch of engage and terrain control and stuff, and I'm like, fine, I'll just sit on people and hold up my giant shield and do support things. That game was the closest, but we still won it pretty handily. I hadn't played Braum in so long, but he's pretty easy to play. I mean, there's obviously some skill expression there, but he's pretty easy to play. I was surprised. Yeah. Fenrir, you ever played Braum?
Yeah, I like Braum. He's a lot of fun, but he's hard to pick. I mean, you kind of really have to pick him in like certain team comps or against certain team comps.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked him B5, so it was the last pick on our side. Otherwise, yeah, you can't just pick him into poke or anything super long range or whatever. Yeah, he's a response, like you're saying. So, yeah. But other than that, work's been fine. A little stressful this week, but that's fine. Yeah, I can't really get in any more than that. But so, yep. So let's talk about Worlds, gentlemen. That's what we're here for. So Worlds kicks off next week. I think it's 8 days from today, so next Friday. That's when the games start in Mexico City. That's when the play-ins start. Actually, it's just 1 week from today. So next Thursday, probably like at nighttime or so.
It actually starts 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
Okay.
So that's when the games start. So I think it's going to be like afternoons for the U.S. times.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they can get it in the evening for Europe, and then it'll be in the morning for the Eastern regions. That makes sense, actually. The only places that are really going to be kind of shit out of luck to be able to watch it would be like the Middle East, and if you're in parts of Russia or East Africa. Don't know how many viewers they get from those regions anyway, so I don't think it'd be that big of a deal, but yeah. So I don't know. How much do you guys usually watch play-ins? Bomo, do you usually watch play-ins much at all?
Yeah, I usually leave the Twitch on for Worlds. I'm pretty much watching every game, but I'm not really watching them. They're just kind of on. So it's kind of my like background during the time. So I do catch a fair amount of games, so I am pretty excited for it to start. I just like all international tournaments for league games, honestly.
Same. Yeah, I watch a good bit of them. Fenrir, I'm sure you're going to be tuned into as much as you can, or maybe not watching them live on the days when you're working, but at least watching the VODs of them afterwards, I assume, right?
I have the Twitch stream going. I wear headphones all day, so I'll be watching it. I guess more listening to it than watching it.
Gotcha.
But this year I'm going to pay attention a little bit more to minor regions playing because there's like this rumor going around that minor region players won't be considered imports anymore.
Ooh. Interesting.
Starting in the spring split. So there's a few players from some of these regions that I'm pretty interested in.
Gotcha. And do those players have to be? I mean, it's just a rumor, so there may not be an answer. But do those players have to be from the minor regions, or do they most recently have to have played in minor regions? Because there's like Koreans that play in Brazil and in Australia, that sort of stuff.
I'm assuming they got to be from the minor region.
Okay, gotcha.
Like I said, it was just a rumor that I seen. There was a few like league personalities that were talking about it. Travis Gafford was talking about it on Hotline League. So,
gotcha. Okay, that would be really cool. John, do you watch much of the play-ins?
I did last year, like kind of like Bomo. I would have it up in like background when I was doing stuff. But I mean, yeah, I would watch some of it too. I'm excited for this round. I'm gonna probably pay more attention this go around, at least as far as like catching up on missed ones. I didn't really do that in the past, but I'm gonna try to do that for this year's Worlds.
Yeah. I did.
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think this one's super interesting because there's 2 European teams in the play-ins, and so I think that's what makes it interesting. Because before it was just the 4 major regions, like, oh, they're probably all gonna get out, right, type of situation. But now
Yeah.
there's a lot more major regions in here. So I guess 5 if you're counting all of them technically. So one of them can't get out.
Isn't that I don't remember the reason. I think isn't it something to do with the war in Ukraine and LCL not being allowed or something like that?
Yeah, something about a team not being able to make it, and so they had to figure out a way to fill it, and so they chose Europe.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
they chose
sense.
Europe because they had the best recency next to LPL and LCK when it came to like how they did at international events.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad it's that as opposed to giving China a 5th seed. That would be a little egregious if they did that. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't dug that much into these teams. I mean, I've seen obviously like the major regions teams. So I've know Fnatic and I know Evil Geniuses pretty well. I know DRX super well since I watched tons of LCK. RNG everyone knows, and know some of Mad as well. So how many? I mean, obviously Fender. It sounds like you know most of these teams. Who do you think is going to get out of each of these groups? Because and go on to the next round. Not like the play-ins groups, like make the main group stage.
Yeah, so what is it? First, second, third, and so first automatically gets to play a best of 5, and then second, third, and fourth get to play. Like they play each other, and then they play across the groups.
No, first actually gets seeded in to groups. So if you win your group, then you're automatically in group stage.
Okay, I thought they still had to win best of 5.
No, yeah. So I think it's different.
Okay, I got you.
So.
Is that what it is?
I mean,
thought
I think
it was, but I'll look while you guys are talking.
so. I thought
Yeah.
So I thought it was first seed automatically gets a best of 5 to decide whether they get to go to groups or not, and then second, third, and fourth they kind of play against each other, and then they play across the group to figure out the seeding for because there's 4 teams total that get out, so 2 teams from each group.
Yeah,
but I don't know exactly.
Oh,
I thought it was the first 2 teams automatically qualify, and then third and fourth place play each other, and then they play the second place team of the other playing groups.
Yeah,
and
so
then the winner of that goes to groups as well. So those are your 4 teams.
Yep, so that's how it works. Yeah, if you finish first in either of your respective groups, you're automatically going into the main group stage. Then if you're
Okay.
then so from group A, seeds whoever finishes third and fourth play a best of 5, and then whoever wins that plays a best of 5 against the team who finished second from group
Other
B.
group.
Yeah, exactly. So Bomo,
Yeah.
Bomo
Okay,
had it
that's how
nailed
it
down.
was.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, I don't know. I think Group B is pretty locked away. I mean, I think DRX RNG almost for sure get out of that, but I think Saigon has a chance. And then Group A, I mean, it's Fnatic, EG, and then DFM are the only 3 out of that can really compete to get out of that group.
So I don't know, but I would say that when Cadril went through and did his tier list, Chiefs were in C tier, where like he put Chiefs pretty high, and they're the LCO team. I haven't watched any of their
Yeah.
games. I know that they were undefeated because they talked about it on that YouTube. There's a YouTube VOD of it. It's like an hour plus where he has on Vedius and someone else where they talk about it all, but. Can you talk about Chiefs a bit? Have you paid attention to them at all?
Yeah, I watch their games, but they're like, I don't know. They just they're playing in a region where they don't really have much competition. 2, they haven't really done a whole lot previously internationally. And 3, like they have a bunch of holes in their gameplay. Like their early game is terrible. They just kind of let other teams do whatever they want to do, and then they just beat them in the late game with their hands. I mean, that's basically they're just better players than everybody in their region. And I don't think that they're going to hands check Fnatic and EG. And the DFM has just done better internationally previously.
Fair. Does DFM have the same
And they don't have
roster as
Arya,
last year?
so
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't they? They don't have Arya now.
yeah, same team but different mid laner. So that could be a problem, but at the same time, I think they have the experience over the Chiefs to make that group a little more interesting. But I really just think it's between Fnatic and EG to see who gets first, and then it just kind of goes from there.
Gotcha.
I do think whoever comes in second in Group A won't be going into groups because I think top 3 are RNG, DRX, Mad in that order, and if that's the case, one of them has to play Mad Lions, and I think it's pretty hard for both teams to play against Mad.
You think Mad are gonna finish second in Group B?
Third.
Oh,
So third place of Group B plays second place of Group A. And
right.
so I think Fnatic and EG are going to be 1, 2, whichever one is 1 or 2.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I'd say it's pretty likely that Fnatic comes first in their group. They have the easier group for sure. With DFM, yeah, like you're saying, they don't have their full roster from before, and they almost always just run through the LJL, which is historically like 1 or 2 teams, and then the quality drops off super hard. And Brazil, that's loudest from Brazil. That's a total like they almost every year they send a different team. I mean, they've sent Pain Gaming, they sent the Red Canids to MSI, and I think Worlds last year as well. They've sent other teams as well, and they never really do all that well. I think they've made it to groups like once or something, but they're not. There's not. I don't know. There's for whatever reason the Brazilians don't ever seem to put together a team that can actually compete all that well, and they're fine. And they're not going to finish like 06. They're not the worst team there for sure, but they'll pick up some wins. But yeah, they're not getting out of there for sure. And then I mean, Beyond Gaming's good. They could totally make a run at second place, but like you're saying, it might be a better idea to almost intentionally throw a couple of games to go into third, fourth to then face.
But you're facing DRX.
I mean, DRX is not as good as people. I mean, DRX, I would say they are. I mean, they made it in as the 4th seed, but I would
I don't
say
think they're good either,
like
but I think
they're
they're
like they're like the 6th best team in the LCK. Sandbox would have been better than them had they not totally flopped right at the end there, and KT is better than them probably. Actually, they're probably 7th. Like I'd say Kwangdong is also better than them. Used to be a Freak of Freaks. That's a Cuz, Teddy. I don't even remember those teams. They didn't make it in, obviously. So
they didn't make it.
Right. So it's a bit of a moot point, but but I don't know. Like DRX, it's if they play Pioshik,
they still have to play through the gauntlet too, essentially. So they got to face whoever they needed. But like I'm just saying, like if DRX is in Group A, they're winning Group A.
Nah, they wouldn't win Group A against Fnatic.
You think they would? You think Fnatic would come first? Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. Fnatic's been looking really bad. Like they look terrible.
I have EG coming out of Group A as the 1 seed.
What?
I think EG is gonna be 1 in Group A. That's my.
I got a kind of spicy take about EG.
Okay, go ahead.
So best case scenario, this is their best case scenario. It's better that they lost to 100 Thieves than win, because they have time to power up with Cavalry in the group in this stage. Because I don't think Danny's coming back. I honestly don't think Danny's coming back to play pro like ever.
So I don't know why.
What
did something happen, or is he just had his spot been replaced?
I think
Danny's
like
just been struggling with mental issues. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so he decided to bench himself, and so they took 100 Thieves to 5 games with a sub 80 carry that they played with for 1 week. And he's actually the best 80 carry in NA Academy or whatever. I can't remember the sub tier LCS, but I don't know. I think Fnatic is actually really bad. Like they play like a bunch of 5 solo queue players, and I could honestly see them bombing out of this group and it being between Chiefs and DFM. I think AG is just better than everybody in that group, personally.
What? Okay, so I definitely can see what you're saying. I don't think as poorly on Fnatic as I guess the rest of you do. So, and I guess here's why. Um, I don't think that, well, for one, they're a better team than Loud, than DFM, than Chiefs, almost definitely. Beyond, I don't really know. I haven't watched. They could be really good like they were last time and make it out of planes last Worlds. Um, they might not be. EG, I think, has some holes. I don't believe in Cowrie. I just think 100 Thieves are actually that bad. They're not a good team at all, I don't think. And I don't know, like JoJo's pretty iffy in my opinion too. But anyways, Fnatic have very consistent solo laners. I mean, you're never gonna necessarily, like, Humanoid can gap people super hard. Wonder's not feeling like that player anymore. He's still gonna be consistent for you though. Um, and I think also with some changes to the support meta, with some enchanters getting nerfed and the ADCs that really like chanters also getting nerfed, we're gonna see engaged supports come back in more. And Hylissang is not an enchanter support person. I mean, he's an engaged support. So with with like the meta probably going to shift to engaged supports more, especially as Worlds goes on. People just like to play them more because they feel more comfortable. That's what they've played more. They have more agency. um, I think that falls heavily more in his favor, and he'll get to shine with some of the ADCs that work well with that, with MF, with Kai'Sa, which Upset has a nasty Kai'Sa, um, with other ADCs that go well with these. With this, I mean, yes, Sivir is still going to be just as strong as she is. Zeri is not strong at all. There's been other nerfs to other ADCs, like Callista got nerfed some, and even though it's not that big, like, hopefully people stop picking them. But it's just like, I think with the meta shakeup, and I think Fnatic will look better than. I mean, they finished third there. They actually took a game off of Rogue, and then Rogue 3-0'd G2. So if we think Rogue and G2 are that good, how did Fnatic take a game off of them and be more competitive in that series than G2? Yet we think that they're that much further down. Because I think if we saw Rogue or G2 here, we think that's an easy 6-0 for that team. 5-0.
So
I know I said a lot of stuff there.
I would. So I would say, like, the games that Fnatic won wasn't like that impressive. Almost, it almost seems like it was their opponents kind of throwing the games, and at least, even though the score was like what 3-0 for G2, those games are like super close. It was like,
Were they?
there was a point. I think the finals were pretty close. I don't think it was completely one sided. There was like a certain point where it was like tipped over and it became one sided. But like up to that point, I felt like it was pretty even throughout the early stages of the game, and like they were trading a lot of like kills and objectives with each other. But there was like just like one or two like key fights, I feel like, that completely shifted the tone for the rest of the game, which made it seem like it wasn't close. But I thought how they matched up early on was a lot closer than the wins that they had over Fnatic, essentially.
I guess so. I mean, game 3 was kind of a stomp. Game 1 was G2
Yeah.
should have won game 1, but game 2 I think was
Yeah.
kind of a fair slug, like you're saying. Go ahead, Fenrir.
I was gonna say game 1 and 2 were definitely like close, but 3 was like super Rogue favored. I don't know. I'm like a huge G2 fan, so I think they just did their G2 vacation that they'd like to do. I don't think they really cared about. I mean, I know they care about winning summer playoffs, but at the same time, it didn't seem like they. To be brutally honest, it seemed like they took all of their prep towards Fnatic winning against Rogue, and they were just not ready at all for what Fnatic or for what Rogue had to play. I think G2 is a better team than Rogue, but I know it doesn't make a lot of sense because they obviously beat G2. But
Well, just because you beat someone in a best of 5 doesn't mean that you're a better team than them.
Yeah.
You know, people could have been sick that day or not slept well, or They could have not been because they traveled to it, so that someone could have been not agreeing with the food from that they were in Stockholm for, or Malmo in Sweden. So like all sorts of things could happen in real life. Plus, they could have just been like feeling off that day, like that shit happens. So who knows about that? I mean, I think it's most people would agree with you that G2, when they're performing at their potential, are a better team. They have a higher ceiling for sure than Rogue. They also have a lower floor though when they don't play all that well.
You just have
Yeah,
to set their. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they just have to take their little vacation, make sure they can get to the point where everybody can buy a stopwatch and they're a-okay.
And I don't know how depending on how early they came to North America, I think that also matters because the solo queue scene here and the challengers queue are both notoriously shit. So what for pro to be able to like practice in a pro environment. So I know like the Eastern teams have been waiting as long as possible to come over here. And then but if you're in the play-ins, you can't wait as long. I don't know when teams had to report. I have no idea, but I would assume they'd want to be here probably a week or so ahead of time. But also, I didn't even think about this until right now. The teams that are in Mexico City, do you think that they're in like they all stay in LA or something and then move to Mexico City like a day before? Because in Mexico City, I don't know how well your ping's going to be going all the way to Chicago or in Champions Queue in LA when you're in Mexico City. That's a pretty that's a a lot of space. You're probably playing on the Latin American server, which if NA is bad, Latin American server is going to be even worse for pro reps, I would imagine.
Actually, like all the teams that aren't in play-ins are in Korea right now boot camping. They all left to go over there. Same with the European teams that aren't in play-ins. They all plan on showing up like a day or two before the groups actually start. And then Saigon actually has a problem with their visas right now. They have one player and a coach that can't get their visas, so they may not be able to attend the play-in stage.
Yikes. That's a shame. I love watching VCS teams play. They're absolute psychopaths, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's visas to Mexico, not visas to the U.S. because GAM already has their visas.
Okay, so then theoretically, if they were to get through with some of their spare players, or maybe they could get loaned players from GAM, like that happened in 2020 with the PCS teams. They PSG loaned a couple of players to whoever else
Yeah,
came
Dago
out.
played.
Yeah, Dago played for them and then swapped back over to his main team.
Vizichachi also played top lane
Yeah,
for a team last year.
I remember that. So they might do something like that then. That'd be really cool to see.
Well, GAM didn't even try and get visas for Mexico because they're not going to
Yeah.
Mexico.
I'm surprised that I mean, I don't know, but I'm surprised that it's hard to get visas to Mexico. I'm guessing it's more just that since Vietnam's had issues for the last 3 years now, that it's Vietnam having issues getting visas to other places, not Mexico. Because Mexico is like, if you're coming from most places, they're like, hey, come on in. That's my impression of it, anyways. But yeah, okay. So here's my prediction on what'll happen. I think Fnatic will win Group A. They may not 6-0 it or 5-0 it, but they will win Group A. I think Beyond will be second and EG will be third, and then I don't know who will be fourth among the other three. And then Group B, I think RNG is going to take it. Not a crazy. I'm not sticking my neck out there, but RNG will take it. Clean sweep 5-0. I think that it'll be probably. I think probably the Buffalo will be fourth, and Istanbul Wildcats and Isurus Gaming are both going to be fifth and sixth. They're going to be out of it. I haven't made up my mind on what I think of DRX and Mad, although I'm leaning Mad second, so DRX third. And then it'll be obviously RNG and Fnatic out, and then probably Mad and Beyond getting out. I don't think EG will get out, is my impression of it. So.
I think for me, pretty similar well, I guess not similar. So Group B, I have RNG, DRX, Mad, Buffalo, and then you can choose between Wildcats and Isers for 5th and 6th, respectively. But Group A, I have EG, Fnatic, DFM, and then Beyond, and then Chiefs and Loud. Maybe Chiefs, Loud, in that order. Maybe it's just completely unjustified, but I do think EG has a really good chance in this group to maybe 4-1, maybe get like a tiebreaker type of situation going and beat Fnatic in a head-to-head. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Okay.
Is there tiebreaker? Because
Yeah, there were tiebreakers last year,
Okay.
or maybe 2 years ago. No, last year there was. I remember because I was in LA when it was happening. There was a
Got it.
tiebreaker.
So both EG and Fnatic would have to lose to a different team instead of one or the other.
I think
to be
even if
tied.
EG loses to Fnatic and they both end up 4-1, then there's a tiebreaker. I think that's how it works.
Even if they have the head-to-head?
Even if one of them
Technically?
has the head-to-head, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, that would have to be the case because, well, I guess not necessarily. Maybe if they both lose. I'll look on the rules right now.
Yeah. So, like, say, I was thinking, like, both Fnatic and EG dropped a game to DFM or something like that. And so they're both technically 4-1.
I'm trying to
But yeah, those
see
are,
what happens
I
here.
think, the group stages. And then from there, EG goes to groups, RNG, and then I think DK beats Fnatic. Is that who they're playing? No. Yeah, because DRX would be no. And DRX gets through, and I think Mad beats Fnatic. So that's what I was kind of thinking. But yeah, I don't know. Mad did look a little shaky in the playoffs, but they did finish first or tied for first in the actual regular split. So it's kind of hard to really say. But yeah, I don't think they won a single best of 5 at all in the playoffs.
So here's tiebreaker stuff. If there's just a 2-way tie, then the teams will play a one tiebreaker game, and side selection is determined by head-to-head. I'm assuming then if neither team has head-to-head advantage, they flip a coin. If there's a 3-way tie,
Goes
it
by game
gets
time.
it goes by game time. Okay, gotcha. If a tiebreaker is between 3rd and 4th place, there will not be a tiebreaker game. I guess because they're going to play each other again, they don't care about that. If there's 3-way and 5-way ties, it gets more complicated, and I don't want to read through an essay here. So
That'd be wild. A 5-way tie.
yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, here. If all 5 teams are tied at the end of the play-in stage, the overall seeding will be based on total game victory time. A tiebreaker will be played between the 2 teams of the highest total victory time, with side selection going to the lowest of the 2. The winner of this game will advance to a best-of-1 single elimination bracket seeded by total game victory time, i.e. fastest team will play against the slowest team. There will be no third place match completed. So I'd have to think about what exactly all that means, but that's the verbatim rules of a 5-way tie. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That'd be insane.
Yeah. John, what are your predictions for the plans?
I would say for Group B, kind of similar to you, RNG, let's say first, then DRX, then probably Mad Lions for me. Maybe Saigon. As far as A, I mean, I agree with Bomo as far as EG. I mean, I don't think that they should be underestimated that much. I think that, I guess to Fenrir's point, they've got Cowrie, which I feel like you shouldn't underestimate a good AD carry that has something to prove, who's been playing well too. I mean, you never know what can happen. They could show up and play exceptionally well, and then like Boma was saying, like I think this is like if they ever have like a shot, like this is pretty decent one, I would say. So I mean, I'm cheering for him for sure. And then I would say for me, I guess them first in Group A, and then let's say Fnatic, and then Beyond. I don't know. I don't have too much faith in DFM personally, but that would be my guesses. But yeah, I mean, I think that especially like newer players like that, that are like playing well, he's got nothing to lose, and everything to gain. So, and he's kind of, I like that he's kind of getting trial by fire, like he's brand new. He's been playing well, but he's like, this is his first like massive international event, So some people play extremely well in those circumstances. So I think that'll be fun to watch.
You're talking about JoJo there, I assume?
Him and Gary.
Oh, sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean I think it'll just be a fun series to watch. I mean, if they could get out, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So those are our thoughts on plans, and now to the main stage here. So obviously we don't see the full groups because we don't know who's going to come out of the play-ins groups yet. But when groups came through with the draw, what were your initial impressions? Fenrir, you want to go first?
I thought that C9 got the best chance that they could get to get out of this group. It was my first impression. My second impression was I think G2 is ruined because they have DK who just has their number, and then they just can't play against LPL teams. And then Gen G is going to sweep their group. They probably could put in their subs and sweep that group. And then Top Esports just kind of has a free first seed in Group C, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, Top does have the freest group, I would say. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I think that, I mean, most people are probably going to come out of this and say that just basically who's going to come out of the groups, it'll be a Chinese and Korean team for each one. That's what a lot of people are going to predict when we do pick'ems. By the way, I really hope that they do pick'ems for play-ins. I wanted that last year, but they didn't do it. I don't think they're going to do it this year either, but I think it'd be really sweet if they added that.
I think it's only starting for groups.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate, but yeah, hopefully I do better this year. Last year I didn't do all that well, but in 2020 I had an almost perfect bracket. The only things I missed were I missed on some of the group teams on the order on which they would get out or get knocked out, but everything else I nailed, down to I had Suning going to the final, and I nailed that as well. But yeah. Anyways, so I don't know. Most people are going to say, T1 EG or EDG come out of Group A. Yeah, Group B, JDG, G2, and then Top and Rogue, and then in Group D, Gen G. And when they get through, almost definitely RNG come out of there. This is a very top-heavy Worlds, I will say. So I would not be shocked at all if that is what happens. Dropping out. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean G2 getting out. I meant Damwon. My bad. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happens again. Rogue has flopped at the last two Worlds, and I think they've had Top in their group every time. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Like, there's not even really a clear group of death in my mind. I think they're all pretty deathy. Don't you guys think?
Group D becomes the group of death once play-ins is finished. Because, I mean, there's just no chance for Oysters or Hunter Thieves to get out of Gen G, RNG.
So let's say RNG doesn't get out. let's say we're looking at either Mad in
That would
that.
be the biggest flop.
I know. So then that would be the easy group then. If RNG don't get out, that's the easy group, right?
Yeah, 100 Thieves should get out of that group if RNG does not get out of play-ins.
How's the Oysters? I haven't watched them at all. They're from the PCS, right?
Yeah, they're good, but their biggest competition was River and Maple, and they're no longer on PSG Talon. So I don't really think they're that good of a team.
Okay. Do we know any? Are there any names that we would recognize that's on their team or no?
I saw
didn't-
one thing for it was don't they have like a young ADC? It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think they have 2 Korean players too.
This is Shun, I think. The AD carry for the Oysters. Yeah, Shun. He's
Flying Oysters. Yeah.
he seems pretty good, but I mean, I don't know if he's good enough to carry them through through the gauntlet.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't recognize that many of these. I recognize Mission for some reason, and Koala as well. But that's it. I don't recognize all these other people. That being said, they could be really good even if we don't recognize them. But that is not. Yeah, normally PCS it's a pretty historically like these are the players that do well region. So yeah, I mean unless this is a fresh new talent that's coming through, and maybe it is, and they're gonna do super well. I don't know. I don't expect them to do that well, but I expect them to do better than 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves is the worst of the 3 teams that NA has sent to Worlds. They don't know how to draft, and they're so reliant on early game. They don't know how to draft at all, and they don't have they can't skill check people. Like T1 doesn't know how to draft either, which is really sad as a T1 fan. But they can skill check most every team. Yeah.
Yeah, they go as a unit big time too. Like it's hard to do much against them.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay. If we're gonna have any spicy picks here, what would they be like? So, okay, we're each gonna pick some. We gotta have a hot take for this, right? Bomo, what's your hot take for this group round? We're gonna hold you to it. We're gonna all hold ourselves collectively to this.
Are you ready for this?
I did ask you, so hopefully.
EDG and Top Esports will not get out of groups.
But
Boom.
so RNG and JDG are the Chinese teams that get out then, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised because like of these giants, of these Korean and Chinese giants that are coming through, not all of them will get out. There's going to be a couple of these super teams that collapse. And some of these aren't even super teams. Like I would say Dom1 and DRX are not super teams, and I don't know. RNG is probably not a super team, or there's like I don't exactly know, but I'd say EDG is not that much of a super team either. They have a weaker top side than like top jungle mid than some of the other Chinese teams and some of the Korean teams too. So I don't know. Like it's just I could totally see some of these teams collapsing, and some of the big ones are going to collapse. It's just who do we think is going to collapse? But okay, so top and
I think top's going to collapse first. I think Jackie Love is really good, but he could just have like an off day, like for the day that they're playing all their games, and just run it down for all 3 games. I can see that happening.
So question though, Jackie Love is, in my opinion, one of the best Sennas in the world. And I think that Senna is going to have a lot more presence because Zeri is going to be too weak, really, for a lot of teams to play her. And we're moving towards some more engagey stuff. But then also you can always pick Senna with Enchanters, Senna with Seraphine, or you could pick Senna like T1 does and pick Senna with like Lee Sin or Set or something bot lane.
Yasuo.
Yeah. Yep, or Heimerdinger like Damwon does, or Singed like Gen G has done, like Sejuani. You can do all sorts of stuff with it.
Yeah.
So if Senna's
So if it
featuring
has high presence,
prominently,
wouldn't it always be banned? Right?
you would.
So if
I mean,
you
maybe.
would think, right? Maybe it's too specific again to specific drafts and like what champions are like perma banned, but
Yeah, I don't think Senna's going to rise to the level of permabans because what's going to be permaban going in? Sivir's going to be permaban. Like that just has to be at this point. Yumi is probably still going to be permaban. They're probably going to be thinking that. Silas is going to have a big ban. What else do you guys think will be high ban rate?
Azir. I
Thanks.
think Azir.
Hecarim.
Yeah, Zir.
Yeah.
Hecarim, yeah. What about like? I guess Silas will be conditional. I would think Ornn will have a very high ban rate. I mean, Gwen might as well because pros are very much better at us solo queue people than Gwen. Maybe Jax will or something. I think it's because it's moving more towards a carry top meta. So what carry tops? Gnar will probably have a pretty high ban presence.
I think yeah,
Base is
I
gonna
think
be
Ornn will
played a
be
lot.
good.
Yeah.
Sejuani.
But like, there's like champions you can play into them. So it's like if Ornn won't be banned because if they blind Ornn, you're picking Irelia into it every time, right?
No, they don't pick
So-
Aurelia into it. They pick Trundle if the jungle's open, and they pick Gnar. They may pick Aatrox into it as well, but I haven't seen
Yeah,
any.
Aatrox, yeah.
Yeah, Aatrox green.
I haven't seen
So it's
any
like-
Aurelia though into Ornn at all. Is that a good matchup?
I think it's pretty favored for Irelia for the matchup. But yeah, I think in general, like, even though they're strong picks, like, you're banning them because it's hard to answer them, right? I don't think Nars, he's going to have, like, high presence, but I don't think he's, like, a super high priority where it's like, we have to ban him because we can't figure out what to play against him type of situation.
And
True.
Kennen too.
Yeah, Kennen. But that's just answered by the team picking mages. Like they don't like to play more than one or two magic sources on a team, hardly ever. So that could be that. But I mean, like I agree that should be the thinking there. Teams don't always ban that way. I think Senna's pretty likely, if it's still not picked, to be banned most of the time in the second round of ban phases. That happens all the time in the LCK, that they ban Senna second round almost always if there's no ADC picked up or there's no support picked up. But the first 6, I just don't think that while they maybe should, they're not going to be prioritizing it that highly. So that's my only thought about why top could potentially not bottom out. That's all why I started with that. But okay.
So I think 369 is just going to drag their dead corpse across the finish line.
Oh, I was for some reason I thought 369 was on JDG. Who's JDG's top laner?
Is tops not 369?
Who JDG's I think is Zoom, isn't it?
JDG's is 360.
Yeah.
Oh. So who's top laner?
Is it?
Top.
Oh, it is
or-
369. He used to play for
It's
top.
Wayward.
Okay.
Wayward, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I got those confused.
Wayward's decent. He's not the best. He's probably stronger than
Or is it Zoom? They're both tops. I don't know which one's the actual starter.
Wayward started in the finals 4 out of the 5 games. Wayward's their starter, and then they didn't even put in Zoom. They put in Qingtao, their other top for the first
They
game,
have 3 tops. Jeez.
and then Qingtao got I think or Qingting or something got rocked by 369, like absolutely demolished, and then they put in Wayward, and Wayward was able to stand to him. But 369 is the best top in the world, I think, at this point right now. Maybe Zeus from T1 could match him, but that's about it.
I think they're debatable 1 and 2. Like you can put both of them 1 or 2. I think.
Yeah.
But they're both all really good.
Yeah.
Not all of them, just those 2.
Right. I'd say with like Gwen, Jace when those and Kennen are probably in the meta more those rangy and keep you at arm's length, it's probably Zeus leaning. But if you're talking about more of the fighters like the Fior, the Jax, the Aurelia, I'd lean more towards 369 for sure. Yeah. Okay, so cool. That's your hot take. Fenrir, what's your hot take, my good friend?
I have 2. Is that okay?
I guess so. Sure,
So-
fine. Break the rules. Go ahead. What are both your hot takes?
So I have C9 makes it out of this group. And then I also have RNG makes it to the finals.
Okay. So, I mean, I have to ask some questions here with this. If C9's not or if C9 gets out of groups, A, who else doesn't get out of groups, and B, how far are they? I guess it totally depends on the next draw, but are you saying they'll probably get knocked out in quarters then, or are you thinking they'll go even further?
It depends who they play against in quarters.
Okay.
They could make it past, but I think groups is as far as they can make it.
Sure.
But it might be a little bit in a copium, but I really think this C9 team is one of the best teams we've ever sent to Worlds.
Agreed, for
Berserker
sure.
is,
I hard agree. Yeah.
in my opinion, the third best AD carry in the world. I know he isn't playing against the best, but watching him play, I've never seen him be in a position of where he's in danger. And the only other AD carry that I see do that is Viper,
Yeah. Yeah, for
which
sure.
I think Viper's the best player in the world.
But, I mean, this is something that was talked on Cadriel's video, and it made a lot of sense to me. If you're thinking about, I think C9, I think your RNG one totally could get to the finals. I could see that happening. C9 here, I think they're going to get player gapped in groups. Top, not at all. It's going to be mid support. I don't have much faith in Jensen. And also, if the meta shifts away from enchanters, Sven has he's only played one split on support. And he's basically played he's basically been on Lulu Yumi duty. I mean, he's played a little bit of something else like Renata, who's still going to be strong situationally, or a couple of Rakan, like 2 Nautilus, but he's not had the time to put in tons and tons and tons of practice like you're going to need to be facing the best support in the world in Keria and Mako, who's also one of the best supports in the world there. So like even if Berserker is one of the best ADCs in the world, which I think is a fine take to have, like I don't see a world where he doesn't get gapped in support.
Yeah, a little bit of it is I actually don't think that Keria and Mako are the best supports in the world. I don't even have them in like my top 5.
Okay.
Keria is very good, don't get me wrong, but I think the problem is that Gumiyoshi is not the one they should have picked. They should have picked Berserker for sure. And I kind of think that Sven is a good enough player that he can make a good enough adjustment to allow Berserker to get to the late game. And I also think you're kind of sleeping on Jensen. He's the best player that we've ever sent to Worlds in North America.
Okay, I guess I don't know too much about the history of NA teams going to Worlds all that much, but
like he has been on every C9 team that has made it out of groups.
Okay. But what are you saying that he's not going to get player gapped against? I mean, it depends, but against whoever goes into Group A, and like because it's going to be an EU team, that would have to be either Mad or Fnatic. I don't think he's any better than Humanoid, and I don't think he's any better than who's the mid laner for Mad? Niski.
Niski.
Yeah, I think he's probably on par with Niski. I think he's worse than Humanoid, and I don't think he's as good as Faker. Granted, Faker's not a hard carry player anymore. Like that's not what he does in the meta, but I don't think that he's going to be able to gap Faker super hard. And EDG, who's EDG's mid laner?
Scout.
Yeah, no, he's going to get gapped by Scout. Like I'm not saying that he's bad. Like he's better than some of the other mid laners at Worlds for sure. But I think, and he's better than some of the other mid laners in the group stage already here. But I just don't think that he's gonna. I could totally be proven wrong. I don't believe in C9 getting out for those 2 reasons, like I said.
But if you're C9, if you think you're gonna get gapped in the mid lane, can't you just play like Zillion or like Lissandra type of champions and you won't have lane prio, but Berserker's winning hard and Blabber's gonna camp whatever he's gonna camp.
Mhm.
And Fudge can stand toe to toe with some of these top laners. Well,
Yeah, he can hold
not
his own.
Zeus, but yeah, I think in general,
Well, I do
going
think that
against
yeah,
Flandre isn't too bad.
I do
And then
think that
whoever comes out of
I also think that EDG can definitely draft. Team 1 can't draft, or they haven't shown an ability to understand. Like, they're just playing things that aren't. So, if they're not going to be drafting well, C9 has that advantage. They could get more favorable picks for these players, like you're saying. But, and And like I don't think Jensen's ever gonna get, he's not gonna get solo killed a bunch and dominated by Faker. Like that's just not how T1 plays. But he's not gonna be able to get lane prio and match against when Faker plays like Galio, or if Azir is still gonna be in the meta. He didn't get nerfed very much at all. So when Azir, like he's not gonna be able to keep up with the golden come on an Azir or a Victor or something else like that. You could play Zillion, like you can play for the team, but you then have to be able to support the team earlier because T1 still are the team that gets big leads early and pushes them. So if you're not gonna, like, I get it, you can play for later game, but are you gonna be able to still be in the game when you get to later game? Is there gonna be a later game? Like that's the worry there for my C9, or that's the worry there for C9 for me. But I get what you're saying for sure. Okay. And then Fenrir, so why do you think that RNG will make it all the way to the finals there? Like, do you think that they're favored to be number 1 or number 2 in Group D if they get slotted there? And then you think they're, like, explain that hot take as well, man.
So I think they get out of Group D first.
Okay.
I really like Gen G. They don't play the early game very well. They're very passive. RNG will run you over in the early game. They will absolutely take everything. And I think Breathe is actually one of the best top laners in the world. He plays a lot of these champions that Doran does not play, and he can't play. And Doran does not do well against people that just kind of shove him in the dirt early game. I also think Xiaohu is one of the best mid laners in the world.
Agreed.
They got reverse swept twice, which is kind of unlucky. Now, that could be a part of they just didn't play well. But to me, getting reverse swept twice by the same team just means you don't play well against that team. And Xiaohu absolutely gap scout every time they played against EDG. And then I think the meta is coming back to where Gala and Ming are going to be considered one of the best bot lanes in the world again.
Yeah, Kaisa buffs and Nautilus and other, like, the Enchanter's getting worse, which then makes engagers better. And yeah, Gala and Ming are so good when you're able, like, I'm just thinking of 2020 with them and at MSI and Worlds and stuff, and even 2021 with the Kaisa meta of Gala just absolutely demolishing people. It was disgusting. Oh my god. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think they're going to be you think that they could actually hold up to Gen G in the mid to late game though?
Yeah. I think they can create such a lead early that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think because Gen G kind of relies on Chovy and Ruler right now, and if it kind of goes away from being bot lane and more top lane, I think Breathe is just going to run over Doran. I think Xiaohu is good enough to compete with Chovy. I think Chovy is going to get massive advantages against Xiaohu, and then I think Gala and Ming are just better than Ruler and the Hens in that meta. If it's an Enchanter meta, I think Gen G comes out of that group.
Yeah.
I actually think Genji gets out because Peanut is a better jungler. I think Peanut maybe one of the strongest junglers going in. I think he's super creative, and so I think he'll find ways to like get his laners ahead. So even though they like to play slow, he has like these paths that just set up his laners so well. So even if they are kind of passive, they're just getting little incremental leads, which eventually make them. I think that's what makes them so strong in the mid to late game, is because they're able to like trade sides of the map and then go for specific advantages that way. And so Doran can just play weak side essentially.
He's pretty good at Lee Sin too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that the Lee Sin buffs weren't like that big, but I mean, I think that you could definitely see Lee Sin being played too. I mean, I think that would work for that strat with them.
I mean, do we think we're actually going to see Lee Sin though? Even though he got a buff, what is he? Is he maybe at 46% right now? He's 48, so he went up by 47 and a half. Sorry.
These junglers will find a reason to play Lee Sin.
Yeah, but
yeah, they like playing Lee Sin. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I think Hecarim. I think we'll see some Hecarim maybe.
We'll definitely see Hecarim. I think he'll be pick ban. Absolutely.
What about Udyr?
Udyr's disabled, so they have old Udyr.
Yeah.
Or maybe Udyr's disabled entirely. I don't exactly know.
I think Udyr's disabled entirely.
Yeah,
Okay.
So we won't
think
see
we'll
any
see-
Udyr.
yeah, I think we'll see J4, Viego, Vi, maybe some Wukong.
Poppy.
Poppy, yep. Trundle
Poppy,
will be
yeah.
there. We'll see.
Poppy Trundle,
Maybe
yeah.
some Zinzao.
Yeah, we'll see some Zinzao. I think we'll see Graves in the jungle a little bit. We might see someone pull out Nidalee. I think we'll also see, if the situation's right, we'll see Skarner. That was picked. I mean, that was being picked into Zeri as well. So if someone decides to run a full-on Zeri comp, then fucking just pick Skarner. And Peanut is very good at Skarner, I will say.
I want to see Nocturne. I think with his recent buffs, he could be pretty good. But I guess it's kind of hard to play like competitive around him. But I think it'd be pretty interesting.
He was being played in
Yeah,
LEC and LCK before the buffs, even.
Yeah, they played him. Let's see, in LCS too. Like it was, what was it, Cloud9 and
Yeah, Blabber played him, huh? Against.
yeah, Blabber, and then
Fudge.
yeah, but Fudge played Kennen. Like that, they were talking about how that has been a pretty good combo in the past because Nocturne can do his ult, the paranoia, and then Kennen can just like dive the back line. But yeah, I mean, I think that would be interesting to see Nocturne. I think they're going to be playing on 12-18, so that's like he got a small nerf. But
Yeah.
I mean, he has been played some.
Okay. So, John, what are your hot takes? If you or do you only have one? Are you going to
yeah.
adhere to the rules?
I mean, I think Group A, my hot take, Cloud9. I mean, I think that would be awesome. Like Blabber's playing well. I mean, Jensen, like, I don't think that Jensen, like, I don't think he's as good as Faker, but like, I also don't think that he's gonna get like hard gapped or anything like that. I think he can hold his own and not like just allow the rest of the team to kind of. He might not have prio like you're saying, but as much as he would like. But I mean, I think that they can play around that. So I guess that's my hot take for Group A. Group Group C. I guess my like wild card would be GOM Esports. Is that the team that's like their first time in Worlds?
They've been here before. They're the VCS #1. They just haven't been here for
Gotcha.
2 years because of COVID
Think
in
about
Vietnam.
Marines.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So I mean,
And they still got
that would be-
Levi in the jungle.
they do.
Yeah, and he's like, he's a vet. So I mean, who knows? I think that would be super cool. It's kind of hard to pick a flyer in Group D. Like I think Genji is pretty solid in that group, but I guess my flyer would be the Flying Oysters.
It's just such a fun name. How can you not root for them?
Like, yeah, why? How can I not cheer for them? It's awesome.
Okay.
But like as far as Group B, my wild card would be G2. I mean, I like G2 also, Fimmer, but yeah, that would be my. Yeah, they just play out of their minds in win Group B.
Okay. Gotcha. I'd say that my hot take, I guess I'll take a couple as well, and then we'll see if we want to give if Bomo wants another one as well. But since we moved to 2 or plus, I'd say my hot take is that JDG will win the group of Group B, but the play-in team will come in second. Neither G2 or Damwon will get out of that group. Because I saw Fenrir shake his head and like, what the fuck just happened? So Damwon is
Wild, bro.
I know. So for those who've watched the LCK playoffs, you understand that Damwon's not in a great spot, right? So if Showmaker doesn't do well, that team falls apart. The same with Canyon. Like it's a 2-person roster there essentially. They don't know who they want to play top. They swap between Nuggery and Birdall all the time. Birdall is not good. He is like I'd say mid-tier at best in the LCK. I would say he's probably even like mid-tier in like LCS or something, honestly. Like he wouldn't even be that good. He wouldn't stand out in the LCS. He's not that good. And Nuggery is very I don't think he's as good as he used to be, and he's inconsistent, especially given I don't think that he's gonna like it's moving more towards a top meta where he's better. But if we're still picking like Ornn and Sejuani, he doesn't look scary at all on those champions. He looks subpar, so they don't have a top laner that can be any bit good. It's actually kind of funny. Whenever Birdall gets like a lead or like he's actually winning lane, the LCK commentators are all like, "Oh my God, Birdall's winning!" Like that's that much of a meme almost at this point. And Dom and Kellen in bot lane are not doing as well as we thought they would. Like Kellen's pretty good. Dom has not been playing that well, but as a unit, they haven't been playing that well. So, which is surprising given how they played last year on Nongshim. And so I just don't think that the two players of Damwon are going to be able to carry them. And I can totally see G2 collapsing. I think that, like, I don't know, like, you can just pick Broken Blade if he doesn't get ahead. He's playing a lot of carries, and if he doesn't get ahead, he's not going to be all that helpful there. They might put caps on utility, so he can't carry all that hard if he's playing Lissandra, if he's playing Karma, if he's playing Galio. Like, I think those are going to be more common, and you're not going to be able to see him carry that much if that's the case. And Jankos is fine. I think he's quite overrated. I don't think he's that great personally. So I don't know. I could totally see G2 coming fourth in that group and Damwon coming third, and then a play-in team getting out of Group B. Which I think if two EU teams get out, the other one has to be in Group B.
Yeah.
So then it would be Fnatic or Mad. I think if it's Mad, that doesn't happen. If it's Fnatic, I could totally see that happening. But I guess that's my first hot take, and that's maybe spicy enough for the other one too. But then my other hot take's not that hot. I'd say I just don't think that I don't think NA will get out of play-ins, and then neither of them will get out of groups. So there'll be no NA team in knockouts. Probably not. That one's not that spicy at all. That's pretty normal. I see you shaking your head there, Bomo. Your camera's on. I can see you there. I know. I'm not an.
Bomo hates you now.
That's a disgrace, dude.
What? Just
Yeah.
no, it's not a disgrace.
Please have some copium.
NA is a worse region than the VCS, and I firmly believe that. So like they get like if they had two of these teams consolidated talent, or like three of these teams had more consolidated talent into two of them, maybe yes, but no. The talent in NA is so spread out that if it was more concentrated, it would be a much stronger region. It would be more top endish, but it would be a much stronger region as a whole. It's just no, they can't. No. I stunned you all into silence. I love it.
Doom and gloom.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we're going with hot takes, my second one is Group of C is the group of life. I can see. So the way I'm thinking is EG or an EU team gets out, the other EU team gets out, RNG gets out, and DRX gets out. So all the major regions get out essentially. And so with that, the only team that can be slotted in Group C is DRX. And I feel like a Rogue, Gam, Top, and DRX, like I think any of them can come in first in this group, honestly. Like, if I'm thinking that like Jackie Love just runs it down, then there's a chance that Top Esports isn't the top team, and like any of these four teams could actually come in first. And I think Rogue leveled up a lot from the finals because they were known to like choke all the time in finals, and so being able to climb through the lower bracket into finals and just beating all the European teams, I think it makes them super strong. And GAM and DRX, I think, are both their teams capable of taking games off all these other teams. So it's not like I see a clear cut like this is the best team in this group like we see with some other groups. But yeah, I think Group C is gonna be the hardest one to figure out who's actually coming in first and second.
Yeah, that one's definitely going to be an enigma when I do my pick'ems for sure. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I think I pretty much agree with all of you. And the only thing I wish for is just for T1 to come out and then win finals. I think Faker deserves a championship for his last one, and then he can retire if he wants to. But
his contract is
solidify
up
his goal.
after this,
Yeah.
so they do have to re-sign him if they want. I think he probably would still want to play, I don't think there's a shot in hell he goes anywhere else.
Yeah. And I really hope Gumayushi figures out whatever's happening because he was looking so good. And after MSI, I don't know if something just like got to him because he lost. But yeah, he's looking awful. Same with Kyria. I think their bot lane is like the weakest point, and if they can figure their shit out, I think they would be really good.
I think I personally think their struggles are their team struggles are draft related. If they could figure out their draft, they'd be
Mhm.
so much better. Because
They
Zeus
also
is
did get rid of their head coach.
they did, yes, which they
Yeah.
do that a
So
lot
they
because
got Bengi now.
yeah, they do. And I mean, I think that that'll be better for picking champions that owner can synergize with the rest of the team well. Because I mean, Bengi's a jungler. I personally think that junglers and supports would probably make the best managers for best
Yeah.
coaches for teams. It's just like in baseball, catchers make the best managers because they're already running the damn show. So you
Mhm.
want like, and then soccer players, you're looking at like center mids and center backs are the best ones. You don't want like an attack. I mean, a forward could be a good manager, but like not likely. And I would assume that in football, the players you convert to managers best are going to be quarterbacks or other defensive, the whoever's running the defensive show, that sort of stuff.
Linebackers or quarterbacks, I feel like are pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't know basketball positions well enough to even say anything, nor hockey. But
I
again,
could see maybe point guard or
The
center,
guards, yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
yeah, but whatever position runs the show, those are the ones that are going to be, they're already doing it while they're playing, so they're going to have the experience and know how to be able to do it
Yeah.
both while put themselves in that position in the game, so they're going to be the best there.
Mhm.
And so I think that Bengi's in a good spot to do that. And it's also good
Yeah,
to
I
get
agree.
former players being coaches as opposed to just like hiring people who sit around and watch games. Like, yes, you could be a good coach if you sit around and watch shit, but then you also get a lot of people like CV Max just got hired by Kwangdong. I saw today that he got hired to be their head coach for 2023. So I really hope Kwangdong bottom out and do terribly. I mean, it's hard to you can't really say like you hope that they do super well. CV Max is a dick.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Like he's like a terrible person.
Yeah, he was the guy with who imploded Griffin, right?
Yeah.
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 God.
Yeah, I don't know how he's still even involved in esports.
Yeah, I don't either.
Korean politics is pretty crazy in terms of like the nepotism in it. That's why there's always all these Korean dramas based upon like these huge orgs and companies.
Yeah. So, okay. Anything else we want to say about groups at all? Or worlds in general? Okay, who do we think is going to win worlds? Make a prediction right now. And we'll revisit this over the next coming weeks or so as we get more info as games go on. But right now, holding your feet to the fire, John, who is winning worlds?
T1.
Okay. Fenrir, who is winning worlds?
RNG.
Okay. Just supporting your hot spicy pick. That's fine. Bomo, who's winning worlds?
No, I really think RNG is insane.
Okay.
T1.
Okay.
You guys are a bunch of fanboys.
Okay.
I am.
I think Genji. So.
Yeah, that's my conscious decision, Genji, but my heart wants to go with T1, man.
My heart does too. Well, I'm a T1 fan. So.
I figured Eric was going to say T1 too. I was like, that's why I said you guys are a bunch of fans.
Well,
boys.
I couldn't say T1 after two of you guys chose T1, and after you made that comment there, Fenrir. Plus, I personally don't think they're gonna win. Like, I just don't. They'll probably lose in quarters. Honestly, is my read on it right now, given what I'm currently seeing and what I know about it. But yeah, we'll see. But okay, so we went through all sorts of spicy picks and everything like that. As far as the current question of the week is which group draw do you think is the toughest? Like, which is the group death and why? And the same thing goes for the play-ins group. And then why do you think those? And we already went through those, but just running through that's still the active question of the week, and we'll revisit it again next week as well. But we got one answer in the Discord about it. Crush said Group 1 because SKT, EDG, and Cloud9. There should be zero chance for the play-in team to make it out of there. So some EU team or something else, which I think we're all kind of in agreement that it's going to be two of those three teams as well. Yeah. So. Okay. But yeah, please give us your feedback in there. If you have additional questions or suggestions, feel free to email us at questions@trinityforcepodcast.com. Community game nights every Tuesday at 7:15 Eastern time, and they are a laugh riot. I didn't mean to make a riot pun there since we're playing riot games. I don't think anyone thought I was either. Okay. I need to get out of my own head. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.